Welcome back, dear traveler. I'm Professor Dosisworth, your gentle guide. Tonight, as you lie in your bed and feel the weight of the day melt away, I invite you on an intimate journey through the landscapes and stories of China. If you haven't already, please subscribe and ring the bell so you won't miss future voyages. Each week we explore a new corner of the world, blending history with a calming narrative to help you find peace. Let your eyes grow heavy. Feel your breathing slow as the room around you fades. Together we will wander along ancient walls, through imperial courtyards, into subterranean chambers, across tranquil gardens, along a river that reads like poetry, up misty mountains and between pillars that pierce the clouds. Allow these images to carry you toward rest, like a gentle current leading you to a still pond. Before we begin, settle into your own comfortable space. Feel the mattress supporting you, the pillow cradling your head. Outside, perhaps the city hums or the wind rustles leaves, but in here there is only quiet. With each breath, imagine inhaling tranquility and exhaling any tension. Tonight's journey is not about checking places off a list. It is about immersing yourself in the essence of a few special places and letting them speak to you in whispers. China is vast and ancient. Its landscapes and cities have witnessed dynasties, poems, battles, and love stories. We will not hurry. We will linger where there is beauty, learning a little about history while savoring the present moment. Consider this your personal lullaby woven from geography and memory. Our first vision begins at dawn. The sky is a soft wash of pink and blue, and a cool breeze caresses your skin. Before you stretches the Great Wall of China, an ancient dragon made of stone winding over ridges and across valleys. It was begun more than 2,000 years ago and extended through successive dynasties until the 17th century. Under morning mist, it appears like a slumbering creature coiling across mountains and deserts. You run your hand along the brick, feeling the texture shaped by the hands of countless laborers. In these stones live stories of soldiers guarding trade caravans and farmers sheltering behind its ramparts. Whispers of merchants exchanging silk and spices travel on the wind. Take a slow step up the worn stairs. Each stone holds the footprints of those who came before. The path rises and falls in rhythm with the land. On one side, green mountains roll into the distance. On the other, distant plains fade into haze. Wildflowers sprout from cracks between bricks, adding bursts of purple and yellow. In winter, the wall wears a cloak of snow. In summer, grasses sway along its edges. Some sections are restored, with wide paths and strong battlements. Others are rugged, their stones softened by time. As you walk, notice the watchtowers that punctuate the wall's length. Each tower once housed soldiers who watched for smoke signals and distant dust clouds. Imagine them standing in silence, wrapped in fur-lined coats, scanning the horizon for travelers or threats. When night fell, they lit lanterns and whispered songs to ease their solitude. The wall is both barrier and bridge, a testament to perseverance and an emblem of cultural exchange. As you breathe in its stillness, let its endurance inspire patience in your own life. As the day warms, the wall changes. In one section, it climbs a lush ridge where pines perfume the air. In another, it crosses a sandy desert where the stones are bleached by sun. Some parts are rugged and overgrown, with watchtowers crumbling and vines creeping across steps. Others are well preserved, their flagstones smooth from countless feet. You might pause to sit on a stone and listen to the wind whistling through loopholes. Legends swirl around the wall. One tells of a woman named Meng Jiangnu whose tears brought down a section of bricks as she searched for her husband, conscripted to work on the construction. Another speaks of lanterns along the wall shining like stars, guiding travelers through mountain passes. Though the wall began as a defense, it also became a road of exchange, allowing ideas, spices, and stories to travel between cultures. In this way, it reminds us that boundaries can also be bridges. Imagine walking here at night. Stars fill the sky, unobscured by city lights. You wrap your cloak tighter as the temperature drops. The stones retain the day's warmth. The silhouettes of watchtowers stand like sentinels against the constellations. In the distance, perhaps an owl hoots or a fox cries. You feel small under the universe, yet connected to all who have walked here before. The wall's undulating rhythm becomes like a lullaby, each rise and dip echoing the cadence of your breathing. You consider your own life's walls and bridges. Where do you need protection? Where can you open a gate? As you ponder, let your mind soften. Feel tension releasing from your shoulders as you continue along this dream path. We descend from the wall and glide into Beijing, where crimson walls and golden roofs rise from the earth. Ahead stands the Forbidden City, the imperial heart of China. Built in the early 15th century for the Yongle Emperor and completed in 1420, it served as the residence of 24 emperors for nearly 5 centuries. Passing through the Meridian Gate, we step into a world of balance and hierarchy. The palace is arranged along a north-south axis, echoing the cosmic order of heaven and earth. Move slowly through vast courtyards paved with smooth stones. On either side stand halls with names like the Hall of Supreme Harmony, where emperors once held grand ceremonies. Their double-eaved roofs gleam with glazed tiles, and carved marble stairs lead up to red pillars adorned with golden dragons. The air carries the faint scent of lacquer and incense. In your mind, hear the deep beat of ceremonial drums and the rustle of silk robes. Beyond the public halls lies the inner court, a complex of smaller courtyards, rockeries, and gardens. Here, emperors and empresses lived, studied, and rested. The palace of heavenly purity housed the emperor. The palace of earthly tranquility housed the empress. Cypress trees cast dappled shade onto stone paths, and jasmine vines creep up walls. Intricate bronze cauldrons stand at attention, their surfaces inscribed with auspicious motifs. In the imperial garden at the northern end, ancient pines twist skyward and decorative rocks pile up like miniature mountains. Walk slowly along mosaic pebble paths, listening to the chirp of birds and the quiet plash of a fountain. Imagine scholars reciting poems beneath the shade while ladies sip tea in painted pavilions. For centuries, this city was closed to most, its walls holding secrets and ceremony. Now, in your dream, its gates open to reveal beauty and tranquility. As the screen fades into velvety darkness, let your eyes close and your awareness rest on the gentle cadence of my voice. Follow its soft rhythm and allow your imagination to drift freely, carrying you toward a place of quiet dreams and restful calm. The palace holds layer upon layer of meaning. Look at the glazed roof tiles that gleam like molten gold in sunlight and glow softly in the rain. Under the eaves sit ceramic guardians, mythical creatures such as dragons, phoenixes, and qilin, arranged in odd numbers to ward off misfortune. Carved beams and painted brackets depict flowers, waves, and clouds, reminding court dwellers of the natural world beyond the walls. The number 9, considered auspicious, repeats in the design. 9 gates, 9 rows of knobs on doors, nearly 10,000 rooms. Season by season, the palace transformed. In spring, magnolia and peony blossoms scented the air, and servants swept fallen petals from flagstones. Summer brought the heavy scent of lotus blooming in ponds and the click of cicadas in the cypresses. Autumn saw ginkgo leaves turn golden and dried chrysanthemum arrangements adorning halls. Winter blanketed roofs in snow, muffling sounds and turning courtyards into still paintings. Imagine walking through the palace during a snowstorm, your footsteps crunching softly. Lanterns glow warm against the cold, lighting your path. Once, the Forbidden City was alive with rituals. At dawn, bells and drums announced the Emperor's awakening. Officials knelt in the Hall of Supreme Harmony to present memorials. Scholars recited texts in the Hall of Literary Brilliance. In the inner courtyards, children of the imperial family studied calligraphy and music. Eunuchs hurried along corridors, their silk shoes whispering over stone. Concubines embroidered under lantern light, whispering stories and dreams. Now you walk these same paths in your imagination. The crowds have thinned, your footsteps echo. You feel both the weight of history and the stillness that follows the passing of dynasties. You ponder impermanence and legacy. Even the most splendid palaces become museums. What remains are the stories and the emotions they evoke. Let this thought ease you into deeper calm. Leaving the capital behind, we travel west across fertile plains to Xi'an, ancient terminus of the Silk Road. Here in 1974, farmers digging a well stumbled upon fragments of clay that revealed a subterranean world. Descend with me into the semi-darkness of a vast pit. Rows of life-sized soldiers and horses stand in formation, their faces emerging from shadows. They were crafted more than 2 millennia ago to guard the tomb of Emperor Qin Shi Huang, the first unifier of China. Walk between these silent sentinels. Each warrior is unique, one with a broad forehead and bushy eyebrows, another with narrow eyes and a thin mustache. Their armor is meticulously detailed down to individual laces and rivets. Some hold bronze weapons that still gleam faintly in the dim light. Their chariots stand ready behind them. Archaeologists have discovered around 600 pits across 22 square miles, containing thousands of figures. The magnitude humbles you. Imagine artisans shaping clay, pressing it into molds, carving features and styling hair. They believed their creations would come alive in the afterlife. Though they could not sign their works, their individuality remains in each warrior's expression. The air in the pit is cool and earthy, carrying the scent of damp soil and aged clay. Above, beams of sunlight filter through cracks in the roof, illuminating rows of terracotta helmets. The silence is profound. Even whispers seem loud here. Yet as you gaze upon these soldiers, you might hear faint echoes of drums, the clatter of armor, or the rumble of chariots. You feel the passage of time, but also its collapse. 2,000 years vanish as you stand among them. When you leave, the warriors will remain steadfast in their vigil, reminding us of the desire for legacy and the artistry of ancient hands. Qin Shi Huang, the emperor whose tomb the army guards, unified warring states, standardized weights, measures, and script, and built roads and canals. Yet he feared death and sought immortality, ordering alchemists to search for elixirs and craftsmen to create an underground world. Historical chronicles describe a palatial tomb complete with rivers of mercury and models of palaces and courtyards. It remains sealed. Scientists have detected high levels of mercury vapor in the mound, hinting at the truth behind the legend. The army itself is organized with care. In Pit 1, the largest rows of infantry stand shoulder to shoulder with archers on the flanks and charioteers behind. In Pit 2, cavalry, chariots, and mixed forces await orders. In Pit 3, officers consult. Some say it represents the army's command center. Elsewhere, non-military figures such as acrobats and musicians lie in broken pieces, suggesting entertainment for the afterlife. Standing among these statues, you can almost imagine the sound of hooves striking earth, the creak of wooden wheels, the clang of metal. Yet everything is frozen mid-movement. Consider the artisans who molded these figures. They used local clay, shaping torso, limbs, and head separately, then assembling them. Details like hair knots, facial hair, and the pattern of armor identified rank and unit. After firing the figures, artisans painted them with mineral pigments. Vibrant red, blue, green, and purple. Imagine the gleam of a fully painted army, how startling it must have looked. Unfortunately, colors flaked away upon exposure to air after excavation. When you look at the figures now, their muted hues encourage you to imagine their past vibrancy. It is a reminder that life is colorful and vivid, even if time dims its surface. The discovery of the warriors was serendipitous. Local farmers were digging a well when their shovels struck hard pottery. At first, they thought they had found a kiln. News spread, and archaeologists uncovered an emperor's secret. As we stand with them in your dream, feel the coolness of the subterranean halls. Smell the damp, iron-scented earth. Notice the silence, broken only by your heartbeat. Each figure seems to breathe with you. Reflect on mortality and the lengths we go to remember and be remembered. These soldiers have stood unseen for millennia. Now they step into your dreams to remind you that human creation endures. Our dream now takes us to the city of Suzhou, renowned for its classical gardens. These private oases were created between the 11th and 19th centuries by scholar officials seeking to express harmony between humans and nature. Though small in area, they are rich in imagination and symbolism. Picture yourself stepping through a moon gate into a secluded courtyard. Ahead lies a pond edged with lotus flowers. A zigzag bridge leads to a pavilion with upturned eaves. Beyond, a rockery suggests a miniature mountain, and bamboo rustles softly in the breeze. In the humble administrator's garden, willows trail their branches in the water. Carp glide beneath lily pads, their movements leaving ripples. Each turn reveals a new scene. A corridor frames a view of a distant pavilion. A lattice window casts a delicate shadow. The lingering garden invites you to wander its labyrinth of covered walkways, pausing to appreciate paintings and calligraphy hanging on walls. The master of the net's garden emphasizes the interplay of built structures and water, creating an illusion of space and infinite vistas. These gardens were designed to be walked slowly to allow moments of reflection. As you breathe in the scent of plum blossoms and pine resin, you can feel your heart rate slow. After strolling, we sit in a small tea pavilion. The ceremony that unfolds is an art and a meditation. Its spirit is captured by the words he, jing, yi, zhen, peace, quiet, enjoyment, and truth. The tea master warms the pot, rinses cups, and measures leaves with deliberate grace. Each movement is fluid and unhurried. When she pours the first infusion, steam rises like morning mist. You bring the cup to your lips, savor the aroma, and take a gentle sip. The tea tastes like spring rain on new leaves, like sunlight filtered through bamboo. Conversation falls away. There is only your breath and the warmth of porcelain in your hand. With each infusion, flavors deepen and your mind clears. The ceremony reminds us to find stillness, to appreciate the present moment, and to connect with nature even while indoors. It is a lesson you can carry into your sleep. Slow down, pay attention, and allow simple pleasures to nourish your spirit. Classical Chinese gardens are microcosms of the natural world. They follow principles of yin and yang, balance and contrast. Water represents the feminine, yielding and reflective. Rocks represent the masculine, strong and rigid. Together they create harmony. Ponds are never simply round. They wind and curve to suggest lakes and rivers. Rocks are chosen for their weathered shapes and placed to evoke mountain ranges and caves. Pavilions provide shelter and vistas. When you step through a moon gate, you enter a carefully composed scene that opens into another, like turning pages of a book. Designers used the concept of borrowed scenery to incorporate elements beyond the garden walls. A distant pagoda, the top of a tree, into the composition, making the space feel larger than it is. Each garden is attuned to the seasons. In spring, wisteria drapes purple flowers over trellises and azaleas burst into bloom. Dragonflies skim over new lotus leaves. In summer, lotus flowers open to reveal golden hearts, and bamboo provides a cool green canopy. Crickets sing and the air smells sweet from the osmanthus tree. Autumn brings rustling red and yellow leaves, and chrysanthemums decorate pavilions. Winter reveals the bones of the garden. Dark, twisting branches dusted with snow, the stark silhouette of rockery, the quiet sound of raindrops dripping from eaves. Designers often arranged stones to resemble animals or figures. You might see a lion's head emerging from a cliff or a scholar hunched over in thought. These shapes invite your imagination to play. Calligraphy and painting adorn walls and columns. Poems about rain, flowers, friendship, and solitude are carved into stone tablets. As you stroll, you might pause to read a few lines, appreciating the brushwork and the sentiment. Bamboo wind chimes hang from rafters, tinkling softly when breezes pass. Garden designers sometimes placed small stages for opera performances or spaces for playing the guqin, an ancient zither. Imagine a scholar sitting under a pine tree plucking strings while composing poetry. The music floats over water, echoing between rocks. Birds respond with their own songs. In this environment, Your mind eases into a meditative state. Leaving the garden for the tea pavilion, you feel the shift from visual appreciation to sensory immersion. The Chinese tea ceremony has evolved over more than 1,200 years, combining Confucian etiquette, Taoist harmony, and Buddhist mindfulness. While there are many styles, the common thread is reverence for the moment. In the ceremony known as Gong Fu tea, the host uses a small clay teapot and tiny cups to highlight the tea's fragrance and flavor. She invites guests to smell the dry leaves first, grass, flowers, earth. Then she warms the pot, pours water over the leaves, and quickly discards the first infusion to cleanse them. The second infusion is poured with care. You watch as amber liquid fills cups no bigger than a walnut shell. You cradle the cup in both hands, inhale, sip, and let the liquid glide over your tongue. With each pour, the tea's character evolves, revealing new notes. Conversation is quiet and joyful. Between infusions, the host might tell a story about the tea's origin or a legend associated with it. Perhaps she shares the words he, jing, yi, zhen, peace, quiet, enjoyment, and truth to remind guests of the tea spirit. The ceremony is an embodied meditation. Your attention anchors on the movement of water and the warmth of the cup. Feel your shoulders drop and your face soften. Even if you're not drinking tea right now, you can imagine the sensation and let it bring you calm. Gardens and tea share the same philosophy, slowing down, appreciating transient beauty, and harmonizing with nature. As you leave the pavilion, the image of a moon reflected in a pond stays with you. You carry the scent of jasmine, the sound of bamboo leaves, and the taste of tea. You realize that these experiences are not confined to a garden in Suzhou. They can be recreated in your own life by noticing small wonders: sunlight filtering through curtains, the pattern of raindrops on a window, the warmth of a mug between your palms. Let these thoughts accompany you as we continue our journey. When you are ready, we float south to Guangxi, where the Li River winds like a ribbon through karst mountains. This waterway's 83-kilometer stretch between Guilin and Yangshuo is considered its essence. In this dream, you step onto a bamboo raft. The water is smooth and clear, reflecting the mountains like a mirror. Peaks rise on either side, their limestone faces weathered into fantastical shapes. Locals give them poetic names: Nine-Horse Fresco Hill, Crown Cave, Dragonhead Hill. Mist hangs low over the river in the morning, softening edges and blending sky and water into one. As you drift downstream, you pass fishermen guiding cormorant birds that dive and surface with fish. Farmers tend terraced rice fields along the banks, their straw hats bright against the green. Bamboo groves whisper secrets, and water buffaloes graze in meadows. Sometimes the river narrows and quickens. At other times it widens and slows, creating still pools where water lilies bloom. Locals call this journey a 100-mile scroll because each bend reveals a new painting. The scene on China's 20 yuan note depicts this very landscape, a testament to its iconic beauty. In spring, peach blossoms dot the hillsides. In summer, the sky is a brilliant blue. In autumn, fields glow gold. In winter, morning fog wraps everything in silver. On the raft, you sit cross-legged with a cup of tea. The gentle rocking, the soft splash of oars, and the distant call of birds lull you. Your mind wanders like the river, and you find calm in its flow. Occasionally, a fisherman sings a folk song that echoes off the cliffs. At night, lanterns hung on the bow cast rings of light on the water, reflecting stars above. The Lee River invites you to let go of control and surrender to the current, trusting it will lead you to new and beautiful places. The Lee River is more than water. It is poetry made visible. Its karst landscape has inspired artists for centuries. Chinese brush paintings often depict misty peaks emerging from water, and many of those scenes come from the Lee Valley. In Guilin, the city at the river's head, Elephant Trunk Hill resembles a giant elephant drinking from the river. Reed Flute Cave contains stalactites illuminated in rainbow colors, creating an underground wonderland. Further downstream, Nine Horse Fresco Hill has a cliff face where weathering patterns resemble 9 galloping horses. Locals say if you can spot all 9, you will have good fortune. These names capture the human tendency to see stories in nature. The 83-kilometer journey between Guilin and Yangshuo passes through ever-changing scenery. In one moment, the river is wide, with water as smooth as silk and mountains marching in the distance. In the next, it narrows, churning between cliffs. Farmers on the banks wash vegetables and rice. Children splash and wave at passing boats. Water buffaloes pull carts across shallow fords, their bodies glistening in the sun. Women in conical hats sing lullabies to babies strapped on their backs. At times we glide past groves of orange trees and fields of sugarcane. At others we float under overhanging vines that drape like curtains. Everywhere the interplay of light and shadow creates new compositions. Listen to the river's sounds. Water lapping against the hull, the dip and splash of a paddle, the splash of a fish jumping. Occasionally you hear a bamboo flute playing from a distant shore, its notes clear and plaintive. The sound echoes off cliffs and returns to you softened. In the evenings, fishermen hang lanterns from bamboo poles and guide cormorant birds that dive to catch fish. They tie loose strings around the birds' necks so they cannot swallow the largest fish and must return them. This symbiosis between human and animal has existed for centuries, though it is now mostly performed for visitors. Imagine watching these fishermen from your raft, the glow of lanterns reflected on the water and fireflies twinkling between reeds. The Lee River teaches you about flow and letting go. It meanders, sometimes taking the long way around obstacles. It does not resist. It embraces change. The Chinese philosophy of Tao emphasizes yielding like water, softness that overcomes hardness. As you drift, consider where you can be more like water in your own life. Are there rocks you are pushing against that could be passed by flowing around them? The river also invites gratitude. It nourishes the land, supports communities, and offers beauty freely. As you inhale, think of the river filling your lungs with fresh air. As you exhale, imagine yourself releasing worries, watching them float away downstream. Let the rhythm of your breath synchronize with the river's gentle waves. From the green hills of Guangxi, we travel east to the city of Hangzhou, where a broad expanse of water lies cradled by low cloud-capped hills. This is West Lake, Exerhu, celebrated by poets and painters since the Tang and Song dynasties. The lake is not entirely natural. To reveal its beauty, people dredged its silt and sculpted its shoreline. Between the 9th and 12th centuries, they created 2 long causeways and 3 islands from the lake's own mud. These slender paths float above the water like ribbons, inviting you to stroll beneath willow branches and over arched bridges. At dawn, the lake is as smooth as silk. Mists rise from its surface, blurring the line between water and sky. Pagodas and pavilions appear and disappear, their reflections stretching like ink strokes. You walk along the Sioux Causeway and feel gravel underfoot, listening to the soft rustle of reeds and the distant toll of temple bells. The beauty of Westlake is not merely in its scenery, but in its deliberate composition. Since the Southern Song dynasty, scholars have identified 10 scenes of Westlake, 10 poetically named views that together embody the harmony between humans and nature. There is spring dawn at Sioux Causeway when peach blossoms blush and the first light touches rippling water. Breeze-ruffled lotus at Quiwan Garden where lotus leaves dance and dragonflies skim. Autumn moon over Calm Lake when the full moon casts a silver path across stillness. Lingering snow on Broken Bridge when a dusting of snow remains on one end of the bridge and melts on the other, symbolizing meeting and parting. Other scenes include Twin Peaks, piercing clouds, viewing fish at Flower Harbor, Evening Bell at Nanping Hill, Lifeng Pagoda in the sunset, three pools mirroring the moon, and orioles singing in the willows. Each is like a chapter in a novel, guiding your attention to a particular mood or element. As you move through them in your mind, you become aware of subtle shifts. The sound of wind, the temperature of light, the scent of flowers. From the green hills of Guangxi, we travel east to the city of Hangzhou, where a broad expanse of water lies cradled by Lo Imagine standing on the Bai Causeway in early morning. On one side of the causeway, the lake is wrapped in mist. On the other, it glistens beneath the rising sun. Willows weep into the water, their green tendrils drift like silk threads. Lotus leaves unfurl, cupping dewdrops. Fishermen glide silently in wooden boats, their straw hats reflected in the glassy surface. A cicada chirps, and its sound carries across the lake. You watch a heron step carefully along the shore, then take flight with a beat of its wings. Even though Hangzhou is a bustling city, here at the lake's edge time slows and the world feels held between breaths. Westlake's design influenced garden makers across East Asia. Emperors replicated its islands and causeways in palace gardens. Japanese and Korean landscapers adopted its principles of framing views and balancing architecture with water. The idea was to create pictures in real life, compositions of hills and water, bridges and trees that evoke poems and paintings. In this philosophy, the landscape is a canvas onto which you project your feelings. When you are joyful, the lake shimmers. When you are melancholy, the same scene becomes introspective. In the Tang and Song eras, literati would visit Westlake to write poetry and contemplate the transience of beauty. Marco Polo called Hangzhou the finest and noblest city in the world, and while the city has grown, the lake remains a sanctuary where one can escape modern bustle. As day advances, Westlake shows new facets. In spring, peach and plum blossoms frame its shores in pink and white. In summer, lotus flowers bloom, their petals creamy and fragrant. In autumn, maples turn red and golden, and the air is crisp. In winter, the broken bridge becomes a symbol of reunion. Snow covers its middle, creating a line of white that gradually melts, revealing the path beneath. Stories say lovers separated by winter meet at the bridge when the snow recedes. At sunset, the Lai Feng Pagoda casts a reflection that shimmers like a flame on water, and at night, lanterns bob around 3 pools mirroring the moon. Hollow stone pagodas with holes that catch candlelight and create dancing moons on the lake's surface. Each season and scene invites you to slow down, to observe, and to feel. As you walk along the shore, the hills around you rise gently, their silhouettes softened by haze. Temples and pagodas perch on their slopes framed by bamboo groves and cypress. The Baochu Pagoda stands slender against the sky. The Six Harmonies Pagoda watches over the Qiantang River. On islands within the lake, you wander through gardens and see pavilions perched above lotus ponds. You may pause at the mid-lake pavilion to sip green tea and watch carp circle. In the distance, you hear the bell of Jingqi Temple, its deep tone resonating across water. You feel peace settle in your chest, as if the lake's surface has smoothed your thoughts. You realize why people call West Lake a living painting. Here, landscape is not just scenery, but an experience that integrates movement, sound, memory, and feeling. Allow this sense of harmony to fill you as if you are a boat floating on mirror-still water, carried by gentle ripples toward calm. From Hangzhou, we travel northwest to the mountains of Sichuan, to a hidden valley where water and forest weave a tapestry of color. Zhuzhaigu, meaning 9-village gully, is a scenic area spanning 72,000 hectares. It is known for its spectacular alpine setting, where jagged peaks rise up to 4,752 meters, and clear streams plunge over limestone terraces into pools of sapphire and jade. Coniferous forests cloak the slopes, home to endangered creatures like giant pandas, and take in the area's lakes and waterfalls are so vivid in color that locals call them sea daughters and fairy lakes. In our dream, we arrive at dawn. Mist drifts through spruce branches, and the air is crisp and pure. A boardwalk leads us along the water's edge, its wooden planks creaking softly beneath our steps. The first lake we see is Rhinoceros Lake, wide and still. The water is so clear that fallen tree trunks on the bottom appear suspended in air. Algae and minerals tint the lake turquoise and emerald. Mountains reflected on its surface look like brush strokes of ink. As we continue, we reach Five Flower Lake, perhaps the most famous. Here, submerged roots form a lacework beneath water so transparent that you feel as if you could reach down and pluck a branch. The colors shift from cerulean to aquamarine to ochre, depending on the light and minerals. Legend says that the lake was once the mirror of a goddess. When her mirror shattered, its fragments became Zhuzhaigu's lakes. Whether or not you believe the story, it captures the feeling of being in a place where nature has been tempered by myth. Further along lies Norilang Waterfall, one of the widest in China. Water leaps over a 300-meter-wide tufa terrace, breaking into countless rivulets that spray into the air and catch sunlight, creating rainbows. The roar fills the valley, yet the sound is soothing, like white noise. In winter, the waterfall freezes into curtains of ice, each icicle sparkling under pale sunlight. Nearby, lakes known as the Long Sea and the Mirror Sea reflect clouds so perfectly that birds sometimes dive, mistaking reflections for their companions. We pause at each view, breathing in the scent of wet earth and pine resin. Dragonflies flit above lilies. Leaves tremble at the touch of a breeze. You sit on a bench and let your eyes trace the ripples until your mind becomes as clear as the water before you. Jiuzhaigou is more than its lakes. It is a complex ecological system. Old-growth forests here provide habitat for rare plants and animals. In autumn, the trees blaze in reds, oranges, and yellows, contrasting with the intense blues and greens of the water. In spring, wildflowers bloom along trails, carpeting the ground in purple and white. In summer, the forests are lush and humid with ferns and mosses clinging to rocks. The valley sits at the junction of several geological formations, including karst and glacial landforms. Water dissolves limestone to form terraces, while past glaciers carved cirques that now cradle lakes. This combination creates a fairyland landscape of crystal-clear pools, waterfalls, limestone terraces, and caves, as UNESCO describes. To walk here is to move through a natural museum of water and rock, each element sculpted over millennia. Small villages dot the valley, inhabited historically by Tibetan and Chang people. They built houses of wood and stone decorated with prayer flags. In the past, they herded yak and sheep, cultivated barley and buckwheat, and collected medicinal herbs from the mountains. Some families still live here, though most have relocated to protect the reserve. In the evenings, the aroma of sampa porridge and butter tea would waft from kitchens. We imagine sitting by a hearth, listening to elders tell stories of dragons that guard lakes and of ancestors who first settled here. Their songs, accompanied by a two-stringed instrument called the dramion, drift like smoke up into the starry sky. As the sun climbs higher, we walk to another cluster of lakes, the Pearl Shoal and the Panda Sea. Water cascades gently over travertine terraces, forming countless small streams that sparkle like jewels. Moss glistens under droplets. At Panda Lake, named after the animal that sometimes visits its shore, the water is dark blue, as deep as ink. We sit on a rock and watch a breeze ripple the surface. The valley is quiet except for the whisper of water and bird song. It is easy to understand why Jiuzhaigou is considered a place of exceptional natural beauty. There are no advertisements here, no city lights, only the pure interplay of sunlight, stone, and water. Climbing higher, we reach the virgin forest at over 3,000 meters. Here, firs and spruces stand tall, their trunks clothed in lichen. Rocks are covered in soft moss and the air smells of resin. At this altitude, the air is thin and you feel your breath deepen. Peaks rise around you, serrated and stark. Some are capped with snow even in summer. In the distance, we see waterfalls plunging from hanging valleys. The sound of water becomes a constant song. Each step on the forest floor is soft. Sunlight filters through branches, creating dappled patterns on the ground. You feel as if you are walking through a painting. As you descend, you pass again through the bands of color, the dark green of conifers, the bright greens of deciduous trees, the blue of lakes. The journey is like a meditation. Each lake is a mantra, each waterfall a breath. By the time you return to the valley floor, your mind feels cleansed and your body is ready to rest. Our dream has carried us across China, along a wall that serpentines over mountains, through the secret courtyards of an imperial palace, into an underground army of clay guardians, across tranquil gardens and tea houses, down a poetic river, up mountains above the clouds, and between pillars that pierce the sky. Each place offered not only visual beauty but also lessons: perseverance, harmony, mindfulness, surrender, resilience, and wonder. As we return to the stillness of your room, hold these images lightly. Let them settle like feathers on water. Before you drift completely into sleep, please remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support allows us to continue creating gentle journeys like this one. Share your thoughts or dream destinations in the comments. And now release your breath, sink deeper into your pillow and know that you are safe. Let the ancient whispers and tranquil landscapes of China guide you into peaceful dreams. Good night. As this dream journey draws to a close, take a moment to revisit each place in your mind. Picture the endless ribbon of the Great Wall and the steady rhythm of your steps upon it. Recall the quiet courtyards of the Forbidden City and the weight of centuries resting on stone. Remember the silent faces of terracotta soldiers and the cool air beneath the earth. Feel again the serenity of a Suzhou garden, the warmth of tea between your palms and the delicate fragrance that filled the air. Hear the song of the Li River, see the reflection of mountains on its surface, and feel the water's gentle sway. Imagine the sunrise over Huangshan, the sea of clouds stretching to the horizon and the resilience of pines clinging to rock. Recall the dizzying heights of Zhangjiajie and the feeling of floating among pillars. Let these images float like lanterns across your inner sky. Each landmark was more than a place, it was a lesson. The wall taught that boundaries can protect and connect. The palace taught that power is fleeting and beauty endures. The army taught that legacy is crafted through work and imagination. The gardens taught that harmony can be created with intention. The tea taught that mindfulness turns simple acts into ceremonies. The river taught that flow and surrender bring peace. The mountain taught resilience and perspective. The pillars taught trust and the courage to rise. Keep these lessons close as you sleep. They will whisper to you in dreams and perhaps guide your waking life. Now, as your body sinks deeper into the mattress and your breath becomes slow and steady, let go of any lingering thoughts. Know that you can return to these places whenever you need calm. Our journeys will continue, and I hope you will join me again. For now, release your grip on the day. Imagine darkness enveloping you like a soft blanket. With a gentle sigh, drift away, knowing that you are held in peace. Good night, dear traveler.